Sorry, kids who want to watch us. All dozens of you. Okay. Touch portal. Nobody realizes there's at least 20 minutes pre-roll on every single one of these.
Every single one.
Like, oh, we're here on time. Oh, shit, we're not.
Yeah.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Takkodana to Greymalkin Lane and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, Steve Heller. What's up, Steve?
A lot of news that I missed this week, apparently, Mike. We got a pretty busy one, and I was surprised when I saw the rundown on a couple of them.
After a couple weeks of lesser, not a whole lot of announcements, not a whole lot to talk about. We got like a decent amount of stuff to talk about this week. I realized that last week was our first episode of June, but I do believe we neglected to say Happy Pride to all those LGBTQ plus people that may be listening. So
we did.
Yeah. We did say Happy Pride?
No, we did miss it.
We did miss it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So
I think last year we caught it because DC and Marvel had started putting out I think that last year was the first year they had put out their Pride anthology and that sort of thing. I didn't see any on the drop last week, so it probably just
DC's is already out because I own it. But theirs might have come out at the end of May, so I think that's probably why we weren't reminded of it. Marvel's comes out this week.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm wearing my DC Pride shirt in honor of me, a straight guy, realizing that it's Pride.
Right.
I didn't realize it.
I'm wearing nothing because I just came in out of New Hampshire.
He's completely naked. He's not wearing anything. He's wearing
if we're not on audio, don't look up the video. Yeah, I'm also probably confusing any video listeners, video watchers, by actually having glasses on this week.
I know, yeah. Wait, who is that guy?
Yeah. I might as well be Clark Kent, but we'll talk about him later.
We sure will. But first, starting off this episode with the final installment of Flash Watch. Why is it the final one?
The final official known issue, because I'm sure there'll be things after.
Yeah, but I feel like the movie is coming out this week.
Mm-hmm.
I have tickets to see this movie Thursday night. I am out of my mind excited to see it. And I feel like once the movie's actually released, we should retire this segment. It's not like every time there's Flash news in general, we're going to do a Flash watch. This was just, we started this because of the insanity surrounding this particular movie. I think we can retire it.
And there was plenty of it. And there
was plenty of it. Yeah. And I think I said this last week. I wasn't really expecting to do another episode of Flash Watch, but here we are, and this is kind of a big one. Apparently, according to Variety, a script for The Flash 2, or a sequel to The Flash, has already been written and already exists. This draft was completed by a guy named David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. Lots of names in that name. And I gotta say, it's cool that they are confident enough in the movie to already have a Flash 2, but no offense to Mr. Johnson McGoldrick, but he's the guy that wrote Aquaman. And I would say maybe my least favorite thing about Aquaman is the script. It's the dialogue. So, I don't know. Why wouldn't you just get Christina Hodson back to write it? Everyone loves this movie. She wrote it. She wrote Birds of Prey. She knows the DC universe.
Right.
Get her back. Have her write a second one? I don't know. Apparently, the script would feature the return of not only Barry Allen, but also Michael Keaton as Batman and Sasha Calle as Supergirl, keeping that trio together. So interesting. There's no other details about it. I wouldn't think that those are spoilers for anything in the movie, especially because it's multiversal. So even if Supergirl dies, they could just go find another one. It's a whole thing. So I feel like if this movie does, I guess movie's tracking really well. It's like tracking for like 75 million opening weekend, which is pretty strong.
Decent.
And that is without the star.
It's no Across the Spider-Verse, but
it's no Across the Spider-Verse. But this is PG-13 versus PG, so it's not going to attract as many families.
I will not be taking my kid to this one.
I will not be taking my son to this. Exactly. And it's tracking pretty well, considering that the star of the film, Ezra Miller, is not doing any press at all. It's officially announced that they will not be doing any press. They will be making, the only thing close to that is they're going to be doing a low-profile appearance at the premiere, which is this week. And apparently, I think the premiere. It's weird that the premiere of the movie is coming out so close to.
I was just gonna say that. That seems
really
funky.
It does, but and it isn't, and it seems funky because usually when a studio does that, it's because they know the movie's bad, and that like people are gonna see the movie and the reactions are gonna be like, "This movie's bad, don't go see it." But if you do it closer to the release date, then maybe it's less time for people to hear that. Or less time for people, or people have already bought their tickets, so they're going anyways. Things like that.
It's the movie equivalent of how Marvel releases all of their shows weekly in an incremental basis, and is now deciding to dump Echo all at once.
Exactly. Yes. However, I did read in this same article, they said that the studio is saying that they moved the premiere so close because the ending is some insane thing that they don't want that to get spoiled. So whatever the insane ending of this movie is, and I kind of tend to believe that because of all of the other reactions we've already seen for this movie are incredibly positive. So like they showed all of CinemaCon. Was it CinemaCon? Right?
Like
they
that,
showed it.
Yeah.
They showed the audience the movie, and they were like, "Yeah, you can tweet about it."
Right.
And they were all like, "Oh, this is great. It's the best thing I've ever seen."
Yeah. The review embargo lifted earlier this week, and it was mixed to positive from like critic score. But we know how that translates to audience score. Like it's hit or miss.
People that are in the bag for superhero movies versus people that are not, or tired of them, or don't care either way.
I don't think I saw anything that was like, holy shit, this is hot garbage.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes me tend to, I believe that they just want to avoid spoilers. And I gotta believe that this movie's full of spoilers, considering it is supposed to set up the entire future of the DC universe.
Yeah, the other thing on there too is the fact that if Ezra is not doing a ton of press, you don't want to have the premiere and the red carpet and all that happening, and then this big gap of silence.
Exactly. Yeah.
So probably a combo of, they'll say it's the ending, but it's also like partially damage control and this whole, they're playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they are fortunate that it's happening with this movie where, Michael Keaton's in it, Ben Affleck is in it, Sasha Calle is playing Supergirl. Like they have all these other people they can be like, look, hey, Michael Keaton, that one guy that everyone loves as Batman, like you did it first, like go support this movie. Or Ben Affleck, people love you too, go support this movie. Like, hey,
that guy
live action Supergirl.
Yeah, that guy that was one of the the people's favorite superhero heroes, and also one of their favorite superhero villains. Yeah, go talk to him.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone loves Michael Keaton. A quote from a source close to Ezra Miller, I think is a publicist or something, in regards to the low-profile appearance of the premiere is just photos. He's taking pictures. He's not doing any interviews or anything like. Sorry, they're not doing any interviews or anything like that. And this statement from Ezra Miller's camp says, Ezra wants the movie to open and the conversation to be about the movie and not about Ezra. They are focused on their mental health and they don't want that to be transactional. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that's whether or not they actually made that decision, Ezra Miller made that decision, or a publicist made that decision for them, I think that's a very self-aware decision to make, or certainly a self-aware way to phrase that or explain why. Like, clearly, like, it honestly, and the fact that they haven't been out on press makes me even more. I feel like, I guess when they announced that it was a mental health thing and they were seeking recovery for it, I feel like there were some people that were hesitant to believe that story and thought this was just like,
Right.
kind of like PR trying to smooth things over. I'm inclined to believe it because if it wasn't, then they would have been out on doing talk shows. They would have been like, yeah, that mental health thing, but here I am and I'm a celebrity and I
Right.
want to, get paid for this. But they're really not doing any press at all for this movie that they are the absolute star of. So it makes me believe more that they're like, no, my mental health is more important than, my celebrity. And that's a smart way to play it for sure. So
Yep. No, and that's
either way.
See, the cynic in me is partly like they probably are focused on their mental health and don't want it to be transactional, but also the studio doesn't want, the studio's point damage
also be
control.
Well, that's what I mean. Like if it's either true or it's a good way to phrase
right. Or it's a combination of the both. It's like most things end up being, where it's not black and white. It's like somewhere in this gray of like, Ezra is working on their mental health, but also the studio wants to shut things down and keep it tight. And other things they probably wanted to keep tight until they revealed it. But
moving on into some DC news. This is something that I had read a number of times over the last like couple weeks from just like random people on Twitter. Like, I don't know. I try like, when the news is slow, sometimes we end up talking about rumors more than I usually like to. I don't usually like to put anything on our show rundown. And Steve knows this, that isn't like a reported concrete fact. Like, I don't want to just like somebody posted that Michael Keaton's going to play, I don't know, Joker or whatever. That'd be, wow, he would be great. He'd be a really cool Joker. He's like a weirdo guy. I feel like he could be like Beetlejuice. He could be a Joker. Picture Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, but then just make his suit purple.
Wow.
Like that's kind of the Joker, right? He'd be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just made that up. That's not really happening. But like, I wouldn't just take like, okay, someone's saying this on Twitter. Twitter's blowing up. It's not reported from any like legit source. So we're not going to talk about it. But things like Fantastic Four, casting rumors or whatever, like, if it's a slow week, we'll dip into that.
Sure, play around with it. And, it's the standard what if or else worlds that we can get into on occasion.
Sure, exactly. So this still is not being reported specifically from Warner Brothers or from DC or from James Gunn or anything like that, but it is from Jeff Snyder, a scooper, an insider that we trust, or I do, because he also doesn't say anything unless he kind of believes in it. So the rumor here is that the previously announced Brave and the Bold film from James Gunn will be directed. This is a Batman and Robin movie. Will be directed by Andy Muschietti, director of The Flash. And now that has been, again, rumored for a long time. Like Andy Muschietti was actually giving an interview recently, and somebody asked him what would he do with a Batman movie, or how would he characterize Batman if in his own movie or something. And he said, I can't talk about that yet. So that kind of led to a lot of these rumors, and now seemingly not fully confirmed, but Jeff Snyder on his podcast this week called Andy Muschietti's attachment to this film to be, quote, an open secret in Hollywood, and that they may be either waiting for Comic-Con or they're waiting for the writer's strike to dissipate so they can finally announce this. And then I think he would be a great choice, especially like the clips I've seen, the trailers I've seen for The Flash. They look bright, they look fast, they look comic booky and great. And if he's going to bring that style to Brave and the Bold, a Batman and Robin movie, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Certainly after The Flash has experience working with at least two Batmen, who knows if anyone else is going to show up in The Flash Multiverse, whatever. But because of Andy Muschietti's attachment to this movie, you got to remember Andy Muschietti blew up when he made It chapters 1 and 2. 1 being very wildly lauded, and 2 being kind of looked down upon. I think I made it 5 minutes into It chapter 2 when I decided
2 being a movie.
Want to watch this? Yeah, I watched like the opening scene. I was like, this 2 hours and 45 minutes of this. I'm not watching this. I hate this already. I don't like the tone it's giving me, and I'm not going to sit through it. Click.
Which is that's rough coming from you.
I know. Yeah.
Like,
I just couldn't get past it.
Mr. Horror aficionado himself.
And like just like immediately in the opening of that movie, like it's crazy homophobic and it's crazy misogynistic in like the very beginning. And like I know it's like a horror movie and I'm not supposed to agree. There's like these are bad people doing these things, but just like I just don't want to watch. It just feels mean. It just feels like mean spirited, and I don't want to watch almost 3 hours of this movie.
Yeah, I can get that.
Anyway, that being said, because he made those movies, rumors immediately started flying about, Bill Skarsgård, who played the clown Pennywise in the It movies. Oh, what if he's going to be Batman? He's like younger, he's tall, he could get like built, he could like work out and get buff for like Batman. So there were rumors of him being cast as Batman, although we're still like so far out from this movie. Like, it hasn't even really been written yet, as far as we know. Like, we don't know anything about it. We're years out from this movie. Jeff Snyder mentioned that he has heard, and again, we're even further out from this, but we've heard that that Bill Skarsgård is not being considered for Batman, but is possibly being considered for, watching Steve's face because I didn't put this part in the rundown, Swamp Thing.
Okay. The Skarsgårds all in on all the nerd money.
All the nerd money.
Father and one of the sons, at least.
Yeah. But if you think about Bill Skarsgård, like, again, he's a tall guy. He acts well under lots of makeup, as we've seen from the It movies, and he has very expressive eyes.
Yeah.
Which you kind of need to be Swamp Thing as well, because you have so many like prosthetics and
inherently
shit all over your face.
Inherently, the family history of deep monologues is probably not going to be in his future for Swamp Thing, but
yeah. But that's that. That would be cool. I think he'd be a good choice for that movie, especially if the Flash does what I think it's going to do for the DC fan base.
Now, could you see him as Batman?
Skarsgård as Batman? It would certainly be a different take on Batman.
I mean, we all had that like hesitation when Pattinson was cast too.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I like to think, I'm sure that there could be a casting that like knocks me back in a way that I was like, whoa, I don't see it. But I feel like most of the time now, depending on like the creative team, I'm more apt to just be like, that this person is casting the right fit for the role,
Yeah, I guess it is kind of like the comics where it's like a writer is going to write for how he or she sees Batman.
Right.
Whereas,
yeah, exactly.
Somebody's going to write a script and then cast based on that script. So I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially like, I'm a big fan of James Gunn and his work, and he's overseeing all of this stuff now. So if he thinks Bill Skarsgård is the right choice for their DCU Batman, then at the end, I'm going to trust James Gunn. Like maybe I don't see it, but I love what this guy sees it. So I'm going to go with it.
Right. Now, I personally want to hear more about Swamp Thing.
Yeah, me too. And we got one more thing about Swamp Thing. Not necessarily good news about Swamp Thing, but we got a cluster of some other like smaller DC stories we're just kind of throwing together.
Right.
We're gonna like
we have good news for some of us, but not necessarily about Swamp Thing.
It's good news for us nerds and bad news for us nerds at the same time, and that'll make sense when I say this right now. James Mangold,
fresh off Indy 5.
Yep, coming up, Indy 5, scribe and director of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. He also directed Logan, Ford versus Ferrari. Acclaimed filmmaker, James Mangold, who we know was announced as the writer-director for Swamp Thing by James Gunn, but was also announced by Kathleen Kennedy as the writer-director for the Origins of the Force, or Origins of the Jedi, Dawn of the Jedi movie. Apparently, James Mangold is working on a Bob Dylan biopic right now, and after that is done, he is supposed to start work on Star Wars.
So James Mangold just has all the projects I'd be interested in?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
this dude
cool. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm very interested in the next few years' career of James Mangold. Like, I'm really sold on it. And he's a good filmmaker. He makes a good movie. So, but my love of Swamp Thing will have to sit tight for a while because he's going to do Star Wars first. And that's fine because I'm very excited about that Star Wars movie also. So we will see what happens there. Another small, I'm not super shocked by this, but we're starting to get rumors, and this also came from the Hot Mic podcast with John Roca and Jeff Snyder, that Harvey Dent is going to be introduced in the Batman Part 2, and we probably will hear casting for that sometime before the end of the year. Casting in general for the Batman 2, you know, and besides like the returning characters, Robert Pattinson, Andy Serkis, what have you. Studio says that they are eyeing. This is another.
This is
one
what
of those,
just
like,
that's
right?
what my facial
Right? Well,
reaction just was
casting.
when I read that.
I noticed you make a weird face, and I was like, I wonder what he said. And then I got to this, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's reacting to the thing, to what we just talked about, the casting thing. What do you see? Do you see it? Do you not see it? Do you trust the guys? Do you not trust the guys? Studio, this is a rumor. This is grain of salt kind of stuff. Studio is eyeing Joel Edgerton or Josh Hartnett for the role of Harvey Dent. And also that possible that Harvey Dent, if he is introduced in the Batman 2, may have his accident that causes him to be Two-Face in that movie or towards the end of that movie, setting him up for a villainous future in the Batman franchise.
I still don't
so
know
Joel
why they do that
Edgerton
all the time.
for Josh Hartnett. What do you think, Steve?
I can't see Uncle Owen, and Josh Hartnett still seems like classic back when like Black Hawk Down Josh Hartnett to me.
You still think of him as like 90s Josh
Yeah,
Hartnett, right?
100%.
So
like
do I.
Pearl Harbor,
I think
Black Hawk Down, like
I think of Halloween H2O,
yes,
Josh Hartnett.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But what I don't think of immediately, and I have to tell myself to think of, is Josh Hartnett that was in
30 Days a Night.
Show?
Nope, that was early.
Oh no, that's good though.
That was good, but it was like a long time ago.
I mean, this wasn't super recent, but the series where it was all like Victorian Universal monsters coming together. Ava Green was in it. What's that?
Penny Dreadful?
Penny Dreadful.
Yep.
Yes, Penny Dreadful, Josh Hartnett. He's very good in that show. And like, yeah, we think of him because he was like a heartthrob when we grew up, but you know,
I thought he stopped acting.
He has also
I'm
grown
not gonna
up.
lie. I really thought he stopped acting.
Yeah, well, I don't think he hasn't been mainstream heartthrob Josh Hartnett anymore. He's
Right.
just been like
Just making
doing
his
my
bank
thing,
and
Josh
doing his
Hartnett.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
and good for him.
I can't see either of them doing that, but hey, whatever works. Like again,
Honestly,
like we just talked.
I can see Josh Hartnett over Joel Edgerton.
Yeah,
because Joel Edgerton just doesn't look like a Two-Face or a Harvey Dent to me, but I can see half of Josh Hartnett's face looking messed up.
But can we do more than like one Batman without somehow bringing Two-Face into it? Like, I don't care if you introduce Harvey Dent, but like, don't do the accident in this one. They always do it in the second one.
I know. That's what I think too, because is it too much Dark Knight vibes?
That's what I was thinking. Immediately you go to that whole scene, and
here's what I would love. I would love if he has his accident at the end of this movie and then he gets a series. We get Two-Face, the HBO Max series.
That wouldn't be a bad way to take it. Yeah.
Because I love Two-Face, and he's a character that like he can be kind of hard to write for because you don't want to just make like two puns all the time, which is like what people seem to do, or what he originally was like. And I don't know, like it's hard to keep him interesting, but in a universe like the Matt Reeves Batman that seems so focused on like mobsters and how the weird criminals interact with those mobsters, kind of like a Year One or like a Long Halloween style. I would love if Two-Face was just like a rival gang leader that comes into conflict with Penguin or whatever, and it's more like a mafia story. And the two leads of the gangs are just weirdos.
When is Penguin dropping?
Is it the end of this year?
Might be.
Or is it early next year? I don't remember.
I mean,
Too much
you
stuff
get
happening,
Batman 2, maybe season 2 or 3 features Penguin and Two-Face going head to head, and like whether it spins off into his own series or not, the whole thing. I randomly pulled up actors who have played Two-Face over the years. I did, of course you get the Bruce Timms and like
voice actors as well.
Voice actors.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say there hasn't been that many.
No.
Yeah.
William Shatner in Batman vs. Two-Face. Did not know that.
Whoa.
Neil Patrick Harris played him in Robot Chicken.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Troy Baker with Lego Batman, because
Sure.
Tommy,
well, also, who played him in the Lego Batman movie?
I know this. Was it
the guy who should have played him in Batman Forever?
Mr. Lando Calrissian himself?
Billy D. Williams.
Yep.
Yes. Finally got to be Two-Face in Lego Batman.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee, of course. And,
not Tommy Lee.
Eckhart.
Tommy Lee Jones. Very different.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
So, Aaron Eckhart. So
yeah.
I mean, it's weird. Like, there's no consistent vibe to who they cast as Harvey Dent either.
I know. Yeah. But I think like part of the best Batman villains are the ones that are like an opposite of Bruce Wayne and or Batman in some way.
Right.
Like all of his top tier villains, you can see the different. Like Batman's all about order, the Joker is all about chaos. Batman is a rich kid that's using his wealth to fight for good. Penguin is a rich kid that's using his wealth to fight evil.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne is good friends in the books with Harvey Dent before his accident. Bruce has two sides of his personality. Harvey has two sides of his personality, like that kind of thing. Like they're all like, they can be like mirror images of Batman or Bruce in some way. So I think if they give us a full movie developing a friendship or relationship between Bruce and Harvey, then him having an accident either at the end of the second film or in a series or in the beginning of the third film or whatever, like whatever head that storyline comes to eventually will be a bigger emotional payoff.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I can see that.
I think there's ways to do it that separates it from The Dark Knight, especially because I love The Dark Knight, is great, but it's that thing of all like 90s and early 2000s superhero movies where like we give you a villain that you love, and then by the end of the movie they're dead. Like, okay, great. Couldn't they just go be arrested and come back in the next one? Like, that's kind of what I would want.
Right. Send them to Arkham, like happens in every book, and then they
exactly.
magically get out and
break out
we
somehow.
get more.
Yeah. When we get more.
Yep.
Anyway, let's wrap up this DC stuff.
By the way, in hindsight, the Raft and Arkham are the worst prisons ever.
Ever. Just ever.
Horrible.
You would think the Raft would be better because it's in the middle of like the ocean.
No.
But they still figure out ways to get out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know. James Gunn apparently holding in-person auditions for Superman Legacy this coming week and weekend. And again, no new names, but the same ones that we talked about recently. Apparently, Nicholas Hoult, David Corenswet, and Tom Brittany are all still front runners for Clark Kent. And Rachel Brosnahan, Emma Mackey, and Phoebe Danevor. I think it's how you say her name from Bridgerton. I think she's the one from Bridgerton. Anyway, for Lois Lane.
Nice. I still don't see the Nicholas Hoult thing, but I'm watching him. I'm getting closer because I'm watching him in The Great. And
yeah, my wife had on The Great before I came down here, and I was looking at him. I'm like, he's a great actor, but I don't see him as Clark Kent.
Well, the thing is, I guess it's the range of roles I've seen him in. I still don't see him in as
he's got
Clark
range
Kent or
for
Superman,
sure.
but it's like, I know he could probably get there, so I'm not as worried about it. But when I first heard it, I was like, nah, I don't know about that.
I still think he'd be a better Lex Luthor. I hope he's.
Yeah.
I hope that he's just coming to these auditions because he's going to be Luthor, and they already know. Or it could be a thing where maybe Nicholas Hoult works really well as Clark when he's playing off Rachel Brosnahan.
Mm-hmm.
Or, it could be a thing where like, okay, if Clark goes to David Corenswet, then Lois is going to Emma Mackey because they have the best chemistry. Or like Rachel Brosnahan has the better chemistry with Tom Brittany. So if it's him, it's going to be her, or that kind of thing. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Lastly, we got some cool new Blue Beetle motion posters kind of revealing his full suit a little bit this week. So I can feel like they're starting to build some hype for Blue Beetle now that the Flash is almost out. They're going to start amping up that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of reference or hint to Blue Beetle in the Flash. Just trying to like connect some things. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Very last piece of DC news before we move on to Marvel is that we got a trailer for the long anticipated My Adventures with Superman cartoon show, which was originally going to be on HBO Max, but then it was given up and now it's going to be on Adult Swim.
Still weird.
But will still be airing on HBO Max the following day. So, they're still, they're getting, they're getting to have their cake and eat it too. Can't blame them.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, it works. Still
they
weird,
make money off the sale of the license, and it still gets to be on their show, their channel. I mean, this show comes out July 6th. And Steve, I guess we had heard this, but I was kind of not surprised, but impressed, I guess. I don't know. Like the trailer really has a big like anime feel to me. More so than I expected. I know the designs of the characters were like a little anime, but then seeing the actual animation and like the way they were speaking, or even like the way that the lines were delivered, the direction, it just felt very like anime to me in a way that wasn't bad. Just as I think it's cool that it looks different than anything I've seen in a Superman thing before.
Yeah.
So looks cool.
No, and I think I mentioned to you it definitely has some Invincible vibes as far as what the art style, and it's like not, I don't know. Invincible is a weird take on the Superman tale, and seeing this sort of mimic what that art style is like this weird kind of Inception thing that I don't know. The whole feel of the trailer itself, I really enjoyed the kind of lighthearted take on it, and what it's going to be fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to it more than I was before I saw the trailer. So I think it'll be good. It just that art style weirdly, I don't know. It threw me for Invincible, and then I got used to it, and now I don't know.
I don't get Invincible vibes from it as much as you.
I see
where you're coming from, but I don't quite see it.
It's like I think it's just because it's that kind of quasi anime. I think with Invincible the lines are a little harder, a little sharper, but
for sure.
Maybe it's color palette. No, color palette's off. I don't know. For some reason, it was really getting me that Invincible feel.
Yeah. But it's cool. Looks like a younger Superman, a little less experienced, trying to help Lois and Jimmy, as Clark, trying to help Lois and Jimmy do their jobs at the Daily Planet, although Lois and Jimmy seem to be determined on discovering who Superman is. So puts Clark in a certain, strange position. So I don't know. Looks fun. Looks cool. I'll definitely be checking it out. Moving into Marvel, a couple short Marvel stories. Captain America 4, a movie that for some reason I keep forgetting that they're even making. And I don't know why, because every time I hear anything about it, I get excited about it. And I get happy that they're making a Captain America 4 movie with Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Captain America. Got a new title. The original title was announced to be New World Order, but now has been changed to Brave New World. They didn't really say why, but after New World Order was announced, there was some complaints or people noticing that New World Order has some kind of anti-Semitic vibes to it or connotations that they probably should have stayed away from, especially because they're like dealing with like Israeli. There's like an Israeli superhero in this movie and stuff, and it seemed like, what are we doing here? So I don't know that it's a response to that, the new title, but probably a good move no matter what. And it's not that different of a title. New World Order, Brave New World.
Now it's Aldous Huxley vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. New World Order. It's funny. It didn't even dawn on me, but that was direct. There were direct connotations back to very rough historical times and what was being built back in the 40s. It's probably better that they moved off that one.
Yeah, I agree. Also shared a new picture of Anthony Mackie on set in his just so generic looking Captain America costume.
I wish they'd have stuck with the comic accurate get up.
I know. We talked about that a few weeks ago, but like I just mentioned how excited I am for this movie, but like the fact that he's not wearing that comic accurate suit is making me a little less excited for it. To be honest with you, just looks
or
okay,
even like
same as
an
we've already
iterative,
seen.
yeah, like even in like an iterative version of it, where even if it's like
something else.
what you would consider a quote unquote normal cap suit, but with the white, like more prominent white than the red, and like that's what his suit looks like.
I know. Yeah. Yep. Would have been great. Anyway, a picture of him with Harrison Ford, who, don't forget, is in this movie, taking over the character of Thunderbolt Ross from the late, great William Hurt. Who watched both of those actors, by the way. I just read today on a Twitter thread about Jurassic Park, because it's like the anniversary of Jurassic Park being released, I guess. And both William Hurt and Harrison Ford were offered the role of Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. Offered.
Both of those would have been very different takes than Sam Neill gave.
Yes. Apparently, Kurt Russell came very close, but they couldn't agree on price. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like all three of them in that era.
Yeah, there were other actors. It was a cool thread. I'll send it to you if I find it again. But like they went through other actors that were considered and or offered for like the three leads for, and Dr. Hammond too. So like Alan Grant, Ellie, Malcolm, and Hammond. And it was just like, it was like wild. And like any of them would have made it radically different. Like you just see like it's none of them for me were like, oh yeah, I could see Michael J. Fox as Ian Malcolm. Like, no, I can't. That would be a radically different movie. It'd be insane.
Well, and that's, I mean, Laura Dern as Ellie Sattler was like, that was perfect. But who knows who else it would have been? Well, apparently you do. But
well, I'm not. Those are the only ones I could remember off the top of my head right now. But
it's.
I just read it this morning. But
it might just be we've been indoctrinated and ingrained with that cast for so long.
I know that's what it was, but even like it wasn't even a thing where like that, like the Michael J. Fox thing.
Yeah.
Like Michael J. Fox is a radically different actor.
Oh yeah.
Than Jeff Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
So like you know that it would not have been even close. You know, like if you're telling me it was between, I don't know. I can't think of.
There's no one like Jeff Goldblum. So
there's no one like Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, yeah. Think of the like Life It Finds a Way scene. There's no what's that gonna do?
I know.
I mean, even Samuel L. Jackson for his role in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dennis Nedry, like Wayne Knight as Dennis Nedry, like they
really said the Twitter thread said that I've never seen Basic Instinct, but I guess Wayne Knight is in Basic Instinct, and said Steven Spielberg was at a screening of Basic Instinct and saw him in that movie and wrote his name down and called his agent after.
That's great.
So I was like, this is who I want for this role. Yeah.
Was Seinfeld did Seinfeld start before or after Jurassic Park?
Good question. I don't know.
Because again, Nedry and Newman are they're pretty close.
I feel like I remember my parents knowing that character as Newman from Seinfeld when we saw Jurassic Park.
Huh. All right.
So it might have been around the same time.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Oh, Seinfeld started in '89. So yeah.
Oh, geez. Wow.
I did not realize that.
That's way earlier than I thought. My God.
Yeah. July 1989 to May 1998.
Wow.
Huh. Okay.
Crazy.
There you go.
Anyway, speaking of
old
things that have been around a long time. Stan Lee. I guess he's not around anymore, but if he was, he'd be celebrating his 1st birthday this year. And in honor of that, there's a new documentary about his life called Stan Lee. That's it. No subtitle.
I don't know if it needs a subtitle.
Yeah, but you feel like, I don't know, just for like Google search alone, you'd think you'd want to like separate it from just his name, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? But I think we talked about when they announced the documentary a while ago, and we talked about it when they announced it. And surprise, it comes out this week. It comes out June 16th, this Thursday. Friday. Thursday.
Surprise.
Friday. Yeah, surprise, it's here. Apparently, it's all in his own words, I guess, or a lot of it is just like recordings of him talking about his work and stuff. And I don't know. How'd you feel about this trailer? It's a short trailer. It didn't like knock me out. It didn't make me like hungry to watch this. I probably will watch it for sure, but it wasn't like this looks like the key to knowing all the secrets of the Marvel universe or anything. It didn't seem
this
like
will be
it didn't grab me in a way that I kind of wanted it to.
No, it'll be a good, like, I'm gonna watch this for the hell of it on a random night.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to watch, but I'm not banging down the doors this week to watch it. For one, seeing pictures of him without a mustache was one of the weirdest things that I've experienced.
Very strange.
And for two, I will say that when they showed all the superhero, like they at one point in the trailer, they like flash a bunch of superheroes that he had something to do with creating.
Yeah.
They led with Spider-Man, and it hurt me inside.
Why?
Ditko, man. Spidey was Ditko's like baby.
Well, yeah, dude. But that's the thing about this documentary is that I don't know, like, how much is it going to talk about Steve Ditko or Jack Kirby or anything like that? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I get why they're doing it, but it seems like it's I don't know. I don't want to say propaganda piece, but kind of.
yeah, no,
like,
I get it. I wish they were also like, oh, stay tuned for next month's Steve Ditko documentary,
right?
And then
give me
next
the Jack
Kirby documentary.
Right.
Yeah, they're not doing. I guarantee you, we're not getting those. So that's a bummer, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll check it out. I don't know anything about how long it is or anything. It just doesn't. Seems like if you're gonna make I guess like it's cool that it's all in his own words. But if you ever heard an interview with Stan Lee, you know that he was very much like, I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm gonna give you the Stan Lee persona,
right?
And I'm not gonna really talk about myself or my life. Really, like he was very much like, I'm playing the character of Stan Lee. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen like super early interviews with him too much. Maybe
but he was always the salesman. Like that was his thing.
Was always the salesman. He was always playing like character of Stan Lee. Here's what you want. I'm gonna talk about the funny books or whatever. You know, like that was him.
Right.
I would rather have like talking head interviews with people that worked with him or people that knew him. And I know there's like weird stuff with his family, but like family stuff too. Like give me like an in-depth, biography of this guy, and not just like recordings from interviews where he's like, like people ask him like, where'd you come up with Spider-Man? And he's like, I thought it would be fun to have a teenager climbing walls. Like that's like his explanation. Like he doesn't ever go into like
there's
stuff that you and I,
that
stuff that has been extrapolated since, and it's the Spider-Man stuff was always there, really. Like, as a teenager, he's got his own problems. Like he would say stuff like that. Like I wanted him to, not be able to pay his rent and like, like that stuff. But, it was never like, it was never like, well, I thought about the human experience and I wanted to kind of, it was just like, I thought it'd be fun to have a kid climbing walls. And that's it. How about it'd be fun if a guy was just made of orange rock? I thought it would look fun,
Right.
Like that's like all he thought. So,
and in all honesty, if that's the direction that all of his thoughts were, then how the hell did he get? I mean, it worked great, but like, how the hell did he get it where he was?
Well, like, you know what? I thought about bringing this up, and then I wasn't because we still have a lot to talk about in this show. But now we're talking about the Stan Lee thing, so I'm going to say that. Do you know what the Marvel method is? If I say like,
yes, I have heard of it.
Yeah. This is how, for those of you that are listening that have never heard of the Marvel method before. In the 60s through, I don't know, into the 70s, for a while.
It was a good stretch.
And specifically for Stan Lee books. I think he used this method probably the entirety of his comic books career.
Probably.
It's called the Marvel method. This was how they wrote comic books at Marvel Comics. And I recently bought like a nice, beautiful hardcover book of like collection of early Spider-Man stories. So I'm like reading through this, and there's a foreword and there's quotes with Stan Lee, and Stan Lee talks about the Marvel method. So this is from his mouth. I'm paraphrasing obviously because I don't have it in front of me, but like this isn't like a secret. He admits to this is how they did it. and he'll say, like, he said something like, at other companies, you know, a writer would write a script, give it to the artist, and the artist would draw it, right? And there's some back and forth. That's how I write comic books with my artist partner, you know, like that's how you make books. Nothing can start until something's written. There's no story. The Marvel method was Stan Lee and Steve Ditko would sit together and come up with a story together. This is the general story of what we're going to say in this issue. Spider-Man starts here, and by the end of the issue, he's over here, and stuff happens in the middle. Then Steve Ditko goes and draws that. He draws the entire book, all the panels. He decides where the action goes. He decides where the non-action goes. He doesn't write a word of dialogue. He just leaves room for the balloons, for the word balloons, and for like the caption. Then he gives a final completed book, except for letters, back to Stan Lee, and Stan Lee, based on the pictures, writes the dialogue.
Yeah.
Just wild to me. It's wild.
Yeah.
So like when you say that Spider-Man belongs to Ditko just as much as Stan Lee, you are 100% correct, because I mean, not only did Ditko design the character, he also like broke the story, and then Stan Lee was just like, okay, well, I guess he's walking here, so he should say something about how he's walking. You know, like it wasn't necessarily from the mind of Stan Lee. Stan Lee certainly contributed to it and amped up what was there and originally came up with the original story, but you know, he wasn't writing, you know, he didn't sit down and say, okay, the first issue of this has to end with us saying with great power comes great responsibility. Like he got there and he did that, but it was just because Ditko ended the first issue with Spider-Man solemnly walking away, and Stan needed to, like, I should say something profound here, so I'll just make this up. So it works. It's just an odd way to go about it. I would like to, you know, I'm still a fledgling comic book creator myself, but like I would like to make at least one comic using the Marvel method,
just to
see if it works, see how it comes out.
So does the fact we're getting a Stan Lee documentary mean we're also getting like a George Perez documentary or a John Romita or like anybody like Siegel and Schuster or anything?
I would love any of those. I like Stan Lee's like the celebrity comic book creator, right? He's like, or he was. He's the one that everybody knows.
Yep.
Because he was all in all the Marvel movies. So I would love a documentary on all. There was a PBS documentary. I think you can watch some of it on YouTube about like just comic books in general and how they were like started, and then you know like it went through like starting with Action Comics and led through Batman and Wonder Woman, and then part 2 was like the Marvel boom in the 60s, and they went through all that. Like it was really good.
Well, it was you remember the Netflix series like the Toys That Molded Us or whatever?
Yeah. Toys That Made Us or something. Yeah.
They did one on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. And that actually went very deep on the Eastman and Laird comics that whole thing.
A friend of ours who does not read comics at all was telling me about this because he watched that episode.
Yeah, it went like
was great.
Real deep in on that stuff. And it was I watched it probably 3 years ago, but it stuck with me of like,
oh nice.
Yeah, the story of how they came up with the Turtles and like where they were and how they got published and all that.
I remember hearing that Kevin Smith was narrating a series on Quibi. Remember Quibi?
Oh, that was
like
thing.
Super short form content.
Yeah.
That I think all their content ended up going somewhere else. Was it Roku or something? So I should find this because I can't remember.
Somewhere.
It was a series. It might have been called Clash of the Titans or something like that. Not Slugfest. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. It was called Slugfest, and it was about the sometimes just only perceived and sometimes actual rivalry between DC and Marvel Comics. And I guess it would have like actual industry people talking about it, but then it would cut to dramatizations.
And I know I've seen
those
the clip
stories.
Of like the Russo brothers and him going at it about Marvel and DC and
yeah, right. So I would love to see that.
Yep.
Because I've heard it's good and it seems something that's right up my alley. So
that does. It's like have you ever what the hell was there was like a nerd trivia thing that was like over dramatized. Was it Schmodown?
Oh yeah, the movie Trivia Schmodown's the best.
Oh, it's great.
That just ended like last year. I love that.
Yep.
It was the best movie. They're all on YouTube. If you like movie
Mhm.
trivia, look up the movie trivia schmodown old
It was like
episodes.
over dramatized like WWE, and
Yeah, it was
like all that. It
professional
was
wrestling meets
hilarious.
movie trivia. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was amazing.
They
And
did a whole
those-
Star Wars section that was great, and yeah,
dude, the Star Wars stuff was wild.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that these people knew was insane. Like I could never, like I always liked, like the reason you like doing that is you like playing along, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
You like seeing if you can answer the same questions. I was pretty good at the general movie ones, especially they had like a nerdy division, and I was
Mhm.
pretty good at that. But the Star Wars was just like I can hang on for round 1, okay, and
Mhm.
then by round 2 I am out. I don't know any of these. It's like
Oh, we got
it's
what we got to
insane.
do. Like sometime we got to get like a group of people together and go back through those and see where we all stand.
Should take questions from those, and
Yeah,
that'd be
yep.
that'd be cool. Anyway, speaking of Star Wars, great segue, Steve.
Yeah.
We got a couple Star Wars items for you. One, we got a release date for Ahsoka. They released a new trailer. Not really any. I didn't really watch it because I don't need to.
Yeah.
But I heard there wasn't anything really new. But the newest thing was that the release date is August 23rd. So get your Rebels rewatches started going right now, so you can catch up and learn all those characters. Again, just highly recommend the show Rebels. If you haven't seen it, if you're a Star Wars fan, just start watching it. It's great.
And for anyone who doesn't want the full Rebels experience, Disney Plus does have a curated Ahsoka list of her basics and big moments between Clone Wars, Rebels, and
Tales of the Jedi.
That's it. I was like, there's a third one. However, like Mike said, go back and watch Rebels because it's just it's that good.
Yep.
If you actually, that's what it is. If you do the curated list, you can watch the curated through the Clone Wars, but once it gets to like past the Clone Wars and into starting to do the Rebels things, just watch the whole Rebels series.
I agree with that. Also, like I remember I looked at, I don't think it was Ahsoka specific episode listing on Disney Plus, but I looked at like essential Clone Wars episodes, and I was like, they're leaving out like so many episodes that you should watch.
Yeah.
Like so.
So
yeah, look at the curated, but then ask me and Steve what else you should be watching.
Yeah.
We will tell you what to add to that. Speaking of things I'm going to add to my list of games to play someday. That's a good segue, right?
Sure, we'll go with
it. This is almost breaking news. Just earlier today,
and this is
Star Wars
after game, Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor for you.
Survivor, yes. Which I am now in a predicament where my son wants to watch me play it and doesn't want me to play it without him watching it. So it's going to take me a really long time to get through this game.
Yeah, my son didn't find me playing it until right before I finished it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to at some point be like, dude, I'm gonna move forward a little bit, see how far I can get here. And then
just pull the old. It's not like he's crazily invested in the story. Like.
Yeah.
Just tell him, hey,
he's getting there because he's seen more cutscenes and stuff. And he's
okay.
like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Yeah.
That's I kept it to like just the action stuff of like, oh, I'm fighting these stormtroopers.
I mean, he does get a little bored when I'm just like wandering around trying to figure out what to do.
How do I jump from this thing to that thing?
Daddy, you got to go to the thing. I was like, I don't know how to get there. I'm trying to figure out. I know I can run up that wall, but I don't know what to do after I get up there or whatever. Like. I was like, we're figuring it out, buddy. This is what a game is. We're figuring it out together. We're in this. Anyway, Star Wars Outlaws was announced today with a very cool and lengthy trailer. No gameplay, but just kind of giving us an overview of what this game is about. The official announcement read as the following: introducing Scoundrel K. Vess. In the first ever open world Star Wars game. Now, pausing right here to say, Steve, is Jedi Survivor not open world? Oh, that's a pretty open world game. Like how it's not fully open world?
No, so Jedi Survivor, you kind of get railroaded into what you want to do or what they want you to do.
Yeah, I guess.
Whereas
okay.
a true open
But you can
world
still
is like just go wherever, do whatever.
Yeah, you can kind of go wherever on these worlds, like the planets, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, there's always a border of some kind in an open world game. Not like you just go indefinitely. You always
Right,
run into
but
an
like
ocean or a mountain or
Survivor,
something.
you've got like a lot of the worlds. It's like you're following this. You have one directional path through the world and through the maze and through the facility, and
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, you're right. You're right. It's pretty close to open world though.
If it
But
was
anyway,
open world, you wouldn't have to unlock these shortcuts all over the place to make life easier on you.
that's true. I do love the shortcuts.
They come in real handy.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you for clarifying that. It just felt very open world to me. Anyway, this game is coming in 2024, and the continued synopsis goes as follows. Experience the first ever open world Star Wars game set between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Explore distinct planets across the galaxy, both iconic and new. Risk it all as Kay Vest, an emerging scoundrel seeking freedom and the means to start a new life, along with her companion, Nyx. Fight, steal, and outwit your way through the galaxy's crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted. I think it's cool that they are setting this specifically between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and not some kind of nebulous, like, Jedi Survivor is like, yeah, it's sometime between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope.
Right.
I don't know. It's just exciting to me that it's like a very specific time frame, I guess, and it's not that long of a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw this trailer. What'd you think?
Initially I did not realize it was someone new, and I was like, "Is that Dr. Aphra?" And then within a couple of seconds, I was like, "No, not at all." But it really, like, the cinematic looked great. The concept looks cool. I'm looking forward to it, but it's that all we know is that it's a open world game set in that time frame.
Yeah. It's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Unless it gets delayed. I feel like this is a game we hadn't heard anything about. I don't remember hearing about this game.
We had heard that BioWare was developing a Star Wars game, and I think that might have been all we had heard.
Okay.
So
the only other game I remember hearing about is the Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Or not BioWare, Ubisoft. Massive and Ubisoft. Sorry.
Yeah. That's right.
You're right, though, when I said BioWare, the Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
Yeah. Which I haven't heard anything about that recently.
No. I think it's there was some kind of update, but it was just like a couple weeks ago. It was just like a we're still working on it thing. So I think it was like a no news is good news kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I like planets both iconic and new, so we might get to go to something we've seen before while also exploring new stuff. Because I haven't finished Jedi Survivor, so I don't know if we go, to Tatooine or anything. But seemingly go to like a lot of new planets I haven't been to before, or like Coruscant. You're in the underbelly of Coruscant in the beginning of that game,
right?
So you're seeing that in a newish way. I like to mix it up though. Give me a new planet, but also, maybe we have to go to Hoth for some reason. Like, that'd be cool. I'd be down for that. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get more on this game as it comes out, get some gameplay, see what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Moving, we actually got some cool comics news. 3 announcements this week that I thought was cool. First of all, Marvel's heading back to the Ultimate Universe. Steve, you want to do a quick rundown for the listeners of what the Ultimate Universe was?
Well, I'm trying to pull up what year they started doing it. In the year 2000.
I was gonna say, it was right before Spider-Man came out.
Yep. So Marvel put out the Ultimate imprint, which was kind of their, it was a multiverse take on Earth 1610 that had a very distinctly different look at a lot of your different heroes.
Right.
Ultimately, pun intended. It was where, you got the Miles Morales creation down the line. Wasn't, in the
later
original,
on. Yeah.
it wasn't in the original run, but you had a lot of different looks at like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spidey in general.
Yep.
I believe Ultimate Cap was a giant asshole, and it was a lot of there was a lot of personality swaps and people not being it was a different take on all of these characters in a extremely obtuse way compared to what they've been written as for the last half century.
But also, I believe the general idea behind it was a completely fresh,
like a reboot. Yep.
You can start here. That we're starting from this universe is starting from ground up. You can start here. You don't have to know anything. We're going to tell you all new stories, same characters, but like that's where you mentioned like new fresh takes on some of these characters, because they were allowed to do that because they were like free of all the 60 years of continuity or whatever, the 40 years of continuity at that time. Like it was just like, yep, you can buy Spider-Man #1. We're going to tell you everything. You're going to see him get bit by a spider. Like that's what it is.
Start from the beginning.
Right. Ultimate Iron Man, he's going to build a suit. Like you're going to starting from the beginning. Exactly. And I think they were like, we got the Spider-Man movie we're working on coming out. X-Men just came out. There needs to be books in stores that people are not afraid to buy for continuity's sake.
Well, and there were some good things that came out of it, and it was like Joe Quesada was over the top of it, and I think it was like,
I hear great stuff about the Bendis Ultimate Spider-Man run. I hear is great.
Yeah,
I've read a little bit of it, but not the whole thing. But I hear those supposed to be great.
Yeah, so you had Bendis, Warren Ellis, asshole, but whatever. Mark Miller, and then I think those were the three primary writers on the Ultimate stuff.
But then also, like any comic book world, it becomes bogged down eventually by its own continuity and got confusing, just like a regular universe. So didn't matter anymore. Ultimate Universe is also where we got the first Black Nick Fury, which led to Nick Fury being Samuel L. Jackson in the MCU. But anyway, Ultimate Universe is coming out of the current. Apparently, there's a current run called Ultimate Invasion, or Ultimate Invasion is about to happen, or something like that. And spinning out of Ultimate Invasion will be a new series called Ultimate Universe. It's going to be written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Stefano Cassell. Hickman had this to say about it. What made the Ultimate Universe originally really interesting was that it was a reflection of the world outside your window in the moment that you were living in. What does it look like in the world we're living in now? It's kind of shocking how much the world has changed in that period of time. The idea of what it would be like to see the genesis of superheroes in a brand new world is a really fascinating exercise. Coming out this November. Steve, do you have any feelings about the Ultimate Universe enough? Does this pique your interest? Are you going to go back to it? You seem to be mixed on it in your explanation of it, I got to say. So
there was some really good stuff that came out of the Ultimate Universe. There was some stuff that came out of the Ultimate Universe. That said, Hickman is Hickman.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird.
I know he doesn't seem like, I mean, he seems like a guy that likes to create his own muddled and insane continuity.
Right. I mean,
it seems strange to give it to him if that's their goal, is to just start fresh.
Like, when he
like
did
the X-Men book. Yeah.
Fantastic Four, he did a whole Hickman-y thing.
Sure.
The Avengers, he had a huge, seminal run on the Avengers. Same deal. And then House of X, Powers of X, the whole Dawn of X thing, creating this whole new continuity for X-Men and what they're doing and how they're like interacting with Krakoa, this whole thing. It's like, it's all very Hickman-y. Which, hey, if they want to take the Ultimates and just lean into 1610 as their weird ass universe, then hell, he's the man.
He's the guy for it.
So
cool. That's coming out this November. We also got an announcement from DC this week. There's going to be a new Birds of Prey series from DC with writer Kelly Thompson and artist Leonardo Romero. I'll be helping helming the new series. They were doing a cool thing this week where they are introducing the lineup of the Birds of Prey team, as it has been different over the years. They were introducing one character at a time, once a day this past week. Full lineup features Black Canary, obviously, She's a staple. She'll be leading the team. Batgirl, but not Barbara Gordon. This is Cassandra Cain's Batgirl, along with Zealot, Big Barda, and Harley Quinn. So Harley's been on Birds of Prey on and off the last few years, especially since the movie came out. But I know Big Barda, she was in a couple issues of the Gail Simone run, but her being a main member of the team is cool and exciting. If you're familiar with this character, like she does not seem like a character that really works that well on a team. She seems like her own thing. No. I don't know.
It was weird enough how well she worked with Mr. Miracle in Tom King's run.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is part of like the Female Furies, which is part of the Fourth World Jack Kirby stuff, but those are all like other insane characters. So to have her be on like an Earthbound team, I think is really cool and exciting. And she's clearly going to be like the muscle of the team.
Now, is this Kelly Thompson's first run for DC?
I think it might be.
So I know I think she's still on Captain Marvel.
Oh, still? Okay, yeah. I know she had written Captain Marvel.
I don't know if I don't know if that changed, but
and I think this same team was on Hawkeye for a while as well. And it's the same team that was on Hawkeye that is now on Birds of Prey.
Okay.
Which I think is cool. The synopsis for this story is Dinah Lance is one of the DC Universe's most elite fighters, and combined with her sonic scream, she's a fearsome foe in any scenario. But sometimes even the Black Canary needs help. Faced with a personal mission brought to her by a mysterious new ally and up against near impossible odds, she reforms the Birds of Prey with only one goal: extraction of their asset at any cost. What could possibly go wrong? This all-new, all-deadly Birds of Prey, still breaking hearts and faces after all these years. It's going to come out September 5th. I like that all-new, all-deadly Birds of Prey. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely down for this. I'm a big fan of a lot of these characters. I love Black Canary. I love Cassie Cain as Batgirl. I love Harley, obviously. Not too familiar with Zealot, but I'm down for this. I love the Gail Simone run of Birds of Prey. Any time I see a back issue of it that I don't have, I grab it. And so, yeah, I'm in the bag for this one for sure. And last bit of comics news. Very little information on this, but Dan Slott, sometimes hailed and sometimes hated writer of Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, is reviving the title Superior Spider-Man this fall. And that is the only, there's been no details about it whatsoever. Just Dan Slott bringing back Superior Spider-Man. Steve, tell the folks what Superior Spider-Man is. What is the basis of Superior Spider-Man?
Superior Spider-Man is Otto Octavius as in the body of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, which when you hear that is mildly insane, and sometimes when written is absolutely amazing.
Yes, I've heard that recently. I've been listening to some podcasts discussing the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and this run has come up a few times as an example of a run that focuses on what it means to be Spider-Man, which is wild considering that it is a run where Peter Parker is not in his own body and he's being puppeted by Dr. Octopus, which is crazy, but it makes me want to read the book, to be honest with you, because when I read the synopsis of this when they first announced the series years ago, I was like, that's dumb. I'm not going to read that at all. But now I kind of want to, because I've just started hearing great stuff about it.
Yeah, I know I think I actually have I might have all the floppies from the volume 2, the 2019 run. It was that good. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to pick this up. But, nice. But yeah, the whole concept is Peter's dying and Otto takes over his body and becomes Spider-Man. And this whole thing is, they take it through hell. I think the original run was 40, 50 issues. And then the volume 2 was another like 12 or so. I think it was like a full year run.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that long. I thought it was kind of like a year-long thing. Wow. Cool. So look out for that this fall. This week in your local comic book store, you got Amazing Spider-Man 27, Batman, Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 9, Batman Incorporated, number 9. Battle Chasers, number 10. Betty Page, number 1. A new number 1 for Black Panther. A new Captain America Cold War Omega, number 1. Captain Marvel 50. Carnage, number 14. Dead by Daylight, number 1. Extreme Venomverse, number 3. Ghost Lore, number 2. Green Lantern, number 2. Read number 1, and it was good. Haunt You to the End, number 1. Marvel Voices Pride, one shot. Moon Knight, number 24. Old Dog, number 5. Queen of Swords, Barbaric Story, cool title, number 1. Rogue and Gambit, number 4. Spider-Gwen, Shadow Clones, number 4. Spider-Man India, spinning out of Across the Spider-Verse, number 1. Star Wars Darth Vader, number 35. Superman Lost, number 4. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 140. Waller versus Wildstorm, number 2. And Wolverine, 34. Lots and lots of cool stuff at your local comic book store, as is every week. Steve, how's your comic book life going? You buying any of these? Have you read anything lately?
No, I did a lot of organizing though.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
that's impressive.
Yeah. Went through a bunch of old long boxes. I think on the Spider-Verse cast, I busted out the Miles Morales number 1 that I found, which that's
okay. Yes, I was thinking about that after we got off the pod last week. That Miles Morales number 1.
Yep.
Where that's not the number 1 of the Bendis run.
No, the Bendis run, he was introduced in Ultimate Fallout number 1. Okay. And then Bendis had another initial run on it. This was the who was it? Saladin Ahmed, I think, did it. Did a run
like 2017, 2018?
Yeah, something around there.
Okay. I also have number 1 of that issue.
Nice.
I have a variant. I have a weird variant cover.
Oh, there you go.
It was like it might be the 1 in 25 variant.
Oh, even better.
Of that. Yeah.
Why not?
So I was thinking, I was like, I think I also have. Yeah. I don't think it was the Bendis run that he was talking about.
No, the original, I wasn't even.
I
think that was in my lull of comics. I do have that original story in a collected, the Bendis Spider-Man, which was great, but yeah.
Yeah. I got caught up on a lot of this last week. I mean, I pulled the new Batman, New Poison Ivy, read those. I'm caught up on Something Killing the Children, finally.
I keep forgetting to go Jesse, you got to figure that out.
I know.
I keep forgetting to go somewhere else, so I'm so behind on those. It's not even funny.
Yeah. I don't think I've missed any. I keep looking at the list. I don't think that 30. I think it's up to 30. I don't think 31 is come out yet.
No, I think 30 is where they're at.
Yeah, so I'm caught up on that. I started reading, like I said, I mentioned I got that hardcover Spider-Man collected. I started reading that. And I also started reading From Hell by Alan Moore, which I got for Christmas or something, or my birthday a while ago. I just been sitting on the shelf, so I was like, crack this and start reading it. It's slow, but it's very good. Like I can even, like, despite it being slow, I can see that it's already building and already like sucking me in a way that I was like initially like, this is crawling, but okay, we're getting there. Yeah, I got a couple one shots this week to wrap things up. This is another scoop from Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast, but apparently, and Steve, you and I were talking about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And how it's inevitable that this is like the highest grossing animated movie ever or whatever. It's the highest grossing movie of the year so far. And it's not going anywhere. That they're clearly going to make a sequel to this. And why aren't they making more Nintendo movies? Specifically, why have they never made a Legends of Zelda movie?
Yeah.
Right? Seems obvious they haven't made a Link movie or a Legends of Zelda movie. Well, apparently Universal has closed or is about to close a deal with Nintendo for the rights to produce films based on the Legend of Zelda. Finally. I don't know why it took them so long. It took anybody so long. Maybe Nintendo just didn't want to make a movie out of it, but I don't know why they would. Like, you've been leaving on the money on the table for decades at this point.
They have, Nintendo. But it's still weird because it's like, what's the plot of every Zelda game?
You're just going to search for something, right?
Right. There's no like crazy dialogue. It's like,
yeah,
go kill Ganon. Okay, cool.
Right.
Done.
Yeah. But that's also like it kind of frees up the filmmaker.
That's true. I didn't
way
think about
more
it from
than
that
the
end.
Mario game. Like who? I mean, I haven't played too many Legends of Zelda games. Does Link have a specific voice in those games? There's some
No.
games where he doesn't even talk, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So like, everyone was up in arms when they cast Chris Pratt as Mario because we all know Chris Pratt doesn't sound like Mario. That
Right.
we know. No one knows or cares what Link sounds like. I don't think anyone has an attachment to what Link should sound like. So like, yeah, whoever, cast whoever. Like people will be more forgiving of you, I feel like,
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see this. Because I'm not as familiar, I will just go in with like this will be a fun video game movie. I'm sure people like you or our friends who love those games. But
not even me. I've only played a couple
you?
of them. But
okay.
I know we have some friends that
my brother-in-law is big on Legends of Zelda.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. He'll be the expert.
That was the first person I was thinking of.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, Steve's take it home with this one last piece of Spidey news.
Well, the one last piece is something I'm very excited about because I didn't know it until Mike put it on this rundown. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 officially has a release date. The game will debut on October 20th, 2023. Right.
Yep. And we knew it was coming soon. We knew it was coming this year because we got that awesome gameplay trailer for it last week or 2 weeks ago.
Something like that,
yeah. October 20th.
And you know what I'm excited about?
What's that?
This frees up Insomniac to go work on Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, this game is going to be amazing, but, like, that's still been sitting in the back shelf in my brain.
Wait for that Wolverine game.
Yeah. Like I will play the hell out of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but yeah.
I know I say this every time that we talk about it, but like that just teaser for the Wolverine game it was like two years ago or something.
It was 2 years ago, and the whole thing was like 20 seconds.
It's 20 seconds, and it reinvigorated my love for Wolverine more than anything has in so long.
Right.
Since
X-Men
Logan 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Logan, but like Logan is more of like a Logan
closing
movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not like it's clearly a different vibe.
Right. It's not the
which I love, but it's not like
the X-Men 93 like
I'm wearing a weird mask that isn't necessary and just going crazy on
all right, robots. Bub, we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. And it could be bad or it could just be not what I want, but like that thinking about that game makes me more excited for an X-Men thing than I've been in a long. So
I will agree with you.
Totally. And I'm very interested to see if next time we'll get an update on that game.
Yeah.
Be great. Because it's been a while. You've been working on it. You can show us something else, right? You can show us something else.
Give us a little bit. I mean, they're probably burying the lead until after they drop Spider-Man because it's the same studio.
Yeah, probably true. Or maybe we'll get a tease at Comic-Con or something,
This is true.
But anyway, that's all I got, Steve. I think it was quite a show tonight. I think we
covered a lot of
the
bases.
news. We tangented an appropriate amount. I think we're good to go. I'm all set.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'd say if you're interested in hearing more from us, you should like and subscribe and, let us know what you think by getting a hold of us on the socials. TheMultiverseReport.com, multiversereport@gmail.com, multiversereport just search for that on your socials. You'll find us.
We're there.
Beyond that, I think, you should find us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. If it's good, we'll read it on air. If it's bad, we'll read it on air. We don't care.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I would read a bad review on air.
Yeah, what the hell?
Why not? I mean, don't leave us a bad review just so I read it on the air.
Right.
I would prefer a good one, but you never know. Ah! Well, I just dropped my phone on the floor, so it's time to go. So until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.